did not remember what it was yesterday. Somebody mentioned, is it studio binder? Studio binder. Yeah. Doesn't matter to me what films they're talking about. If they're talking about cool things that have relevance to what we're talking about, great. But so you'll see some graphics at the bottom that say, oh, that's a studio binder thing. Well, you're right. I was cheating because it was the only thing I could. Okay, anybody in the, oh yeah, I just didn't know I didn't know if we were killing time until he came back.
You see that? Sammy, are you good? You got everything? Okay.
Oh, I didn't know if we needed to wait till, tell me the other gentleman's name.
Caleb.
Caleb.
That just came in?
Yeah. Well, there were two of them, and I was like, Caleb?
There's Caleb, Stewart, they're all
Yeah.
floating around all over the place.
Yes, but we can do that as well.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sherwood Baptist Church. My name is Linda Cadron. I am your room host for this week. We are in Faith 211, and today it's the moving images that tell your story. And so we are glad that you're here. Just a couple of housekeeping tips. If you need to use the restroom, you go out that door, and immediately when you get into that little area right now, take a right, go to the very end of the hall, and the men and women's restroom is down on the left. So if you need that. Also, no filming is allowed. No recording of any of his speech, anything, nothing is allowed. Please ask that you silence your cell phones, put them away. At the end of the session, you can take photos if you'd like. They're allowed to do that. Also, wanted to remind you, there is a premium gold membership. For anybody that would like to have that, you need to talk to registration downstairs. They can tell you how to sign up for that. So we are glad this morning to have Mr. Dave Swenson with us, and we are excited about what he's got to tell you. And if there is a Q&A session at the end, because this is being recorded, we ask that you please repeat your question twice, let him answer it, and so we want to make sure all of that gets in on the recording. All right, Mr. Swenson, thank you.
For the people who will finish what we were talking about before the group gets in, finding opportunities to, so if anybody in the group has had to do a presentation where you had to pull clips from movies, clips from things that are copywritten, copyrighted, whatever you want to call it, come talk to me, because that is a feat in itself. So I wound up pulling stuff off so we can even get examples, so you get the picture. Good morning. Hey, I said it right this morning. Yesterday I said good morning and it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. I got a little flustered by seeing some people that anyway. You know, if you were there yesterday, you get it. Yeah. As yesterday, things we're going to talk about in the next bit are going to be this level, okay? It's the 30,000 foot view. We do not have time to delve in and deep dive into nitpicking little. We could talk about this for hours. I mean, this, as I look to where I am, this alone, we go do 6-day workshops on this, and we barely scratch the surface. So you get the picture. We have 50 minutes to play, 55 minutes to play. So, but questions, pepper us with questions. Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. But if we get too deep into it, I may say, hey, let's talk about that later. Or call me, text me, email me, whatever. A little background on me. My name is David Swenson. I'm a Charlotte, North Carolina guy. Quick intro of me. If you were here yesterday, I'll try to say something potentially a little different. When I was 8 years old, I walked into this first television studio because my parents were doing advertising. And they said, hey, by the way, you have a chance to go to the TV station and help us with the advertising stuff, or just sit on the back row and watch, or Miss McGillicuddy can come over and babysit. And I was like, Miss McGillicuddy? So I went to the TV station. And those doors into the studio opened up, and it was like, what in the world is going on up in here? It was cool. Eyes got this big. I was looking at the camera guys and the prompter people and the audio people, and I was like, what do you do? What do you do? I was like, okay, 8 years old. From 8 to 15, I'm volunteering for everything I can do. Hey, can I carry that trash from here to here from you? Do you need the video library? Do you need it reorganized? Can I sweep that floor for you? Anything I could do to get in an environment to learn something about what was going on in this business. When I was 15, I got an opportunity to be, a woman came to our drama class that I was in, a producer for a local film company, and said, hey, we're doing this industrial thing for the Kidney Foundation on organ donation. We need a person who is going to play the kid who is in a car accident and tells the story to families across the viewing audience. The tragedy that you just suffered can help someone else, okay? Well, they needed the kid to play that kid. So when I'm not being a kid on a gurney, cut, my eyes would pop up and I'd be looking at the camera people, looking at the lighting people, looking at the directing people, just checking it all out. I was just roped in, okay? That's 15. 15 to get out of college, go work at a TV station, start doing some sports stuff, because that was what I could do in college, working on like coaches shows and those kind of things, where I got a chance to do lighting stuff and camera stuff and interview stuff and some editing. I'm not an editor. But that's where that kind of got. That led to working at an ad agency. The ad agency led to, if you work at a company long enough and you're doing other things outside those boundaries to pay your power bill, and you start freelancing, the word freelancing, okay? If you start doing it, there's gonna come a time when you got a 9 to 5 where you gotta say, okay, 9 to 5, great. But I can do so much more, choose my own schedule, work with who I wanna work with within, once you build your group. So I went freelance. That was 25 years ago. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, sorry. Oh, I thought I was 31. In 2000, in October of 2000, in 2000 I met a great young lady. I met a great young lady who, when I met her, something was different. I just said to you something about how Ken downstairs, joy just oozes out of that guy's pores, you know? Well, I noticed this about this young lady. And I said, man, something's different about you. I grew up in a church-going house. We'll put it that way. But that young lady was patient and led me, guided me, answered my questions. And in October of 2000, I gave my life to the Lord and said, you know, I ain't driving the bus anymore. But from 2000 until 2014, I was searching, trying to find ways of, I know where I want to be, I know where my values are, I know where my goals are. How do those meet in the middle and start going down a road to let me do my job in a way that's honoring to the Lord? And in 2014, I got a great chance. A lot of prayers were answered. The Kendricks, so cool to be in their building saying this story. The building that they, where they're from. They came to Charlotte to do War Room. And evidently everybody else was booked and they needed somebody to do something. And I had been knowing their story for a long time. And they came to Charlotte and I got an opportunity to get on their team for that. And it has changed my life. It has changed who I am as a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a coworker. It's changed a lot. And it comes from the top down of how their style of leadership and what they bring to the table. And it's not just them, and they will be the first people to tell you that. It is not them, it is what they bring to the table that is way above us, because it's not about us. We could talk about that for a good little bit, but we'll move on. I got an opportunity to do that with them in 2014. So for the last 10 years, I've been really blessed to do more faith-based opportunities in camera work. And you say, hey dude, you and I meet on the street. Hey man, what do you do? I'm a camera operator. I'm a Steadicam guy. I point lenses at people. I tell stories. It's me. I won't make that any bigger or any smaller than it really is. But it is super fun, and something from a moving camera perspective that will kick you in the shins, and this will get us into this. If you are a moving camera person, watch as to why we are all in this room right now to learn more about this. If you are a moving camera person, the thing that will kick you in the shins more than anything else is indecision and not committing to a choice. If you're moving the camera, you need to move it for a reason. Okay? I'm a big motivated camera guy. I don't want to just move the camera because we happen to have a Steadicam or a gimbal or whatever on the truck. I don't want to do it. I want it to move, I want it to tell the audience something in the story that is something that the director or the DP is saying, this is what we want them to see. This is what we want them to feel. And we can make them feel this more by just pushing in on this moment, or coming around to reveal something over someone's shoulder, or there's so much storytelling you can do just by moving this lens from one place to the other. But that indecision thing, there's nothing worse. I don't want to say there's nothing worse. One of the really bad things, one of the tough things is when somebody has a camera, Steadicam, gimbal, I don't care what it is, dolly, gimbal, Steadicam, slider, what have I missed that we're going to talk about? Drones, okay, to do this. I'm about to use you as an example. What's your name?
I don't know if I want to tell you.
Francine?
Julia.
Just kidding. Okay, Julia. If I'm moving in on Julia, and I'm going to do what we all hate seeing people. Okay, I'll do this like I normally do. Okay, if I'm moving in on a shot of her, if I go in, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll be here. Maybe, yeah.
Just find the good pose.
Oh, here it is, right here, yeah. The audience at home, the first thing that the editor, the first thing that the people in Video Village, the first person that anybody who's watching what I'm doing as the guy who's pointing that thing is going to say, who did we hire to do this? Okay? If I'm going to make a choice to move from here to here, the choice is I'm going to start here. I'm going to find out where I want to go. All right, I want to go. Okay, I'm going to start. I'm going to move in, and I'm going to hit a moment. And I'm going to lock in on that moment and tell that story and wait for force the cut in post. Do something that says, this is the story. This is what we want you to see. Sometimes it's a this. We pause. We get 30 seconds of dialogue. And then I come around to reveal something that she's saying about this fine gentleman over here. That's fascinating, but it's part of the story, okay? But if I'm over here and then I go, at some point, yeah, and the frame is doing this. At some point I'm gonna move over here. Yeah, probably something. Make a choice and stick to it. Hey, this means you've talked too long, David. Okay. Hey, back one. Come on, Swenson. Okay. Be intentional, make a choice, be decisive. Moving the camera, it is telling the audience something. It is telling the story to get from here to here. And the more you can tell that in some fashion that makes the audience do this, that was pretty cool. What was it? It draws, it hooks them in, you know? And that's what we want to do, you know? Okay, but we can't start talking about moving the camera with something like this if what we're talking about, if we don't have a language that we all know. If you're working with a director, a DP, a somebody, and they say, hey, we're going to do this shot, and a this shot. If somebody says, we need a static, and then we're going to do a push, and then we're going to get them, and then we're going to get in the rig, and then we're going to do a tracking from here to here. If you're like, static, tracking, we need to know that we need to have the same language, okay? So let's talk about that. A static shot is something that it's an establishing something. It gives a specific composition of showing where they are in this room, you know? It allows the viewer to focus on something in the frame because it's not moving. They can go, oh, this is the storyline. This is what I need to know about. A pan. Because we're out in the open, you may think, oh, that's a tracking shot. Well, it's not a tracking shot. That is a pan is a locked down position that tracks with something, okay? It's a pan. You can pan left, you can pan right. You can whip pan over to something, or you can just gracefully do it. This is an opportunity where you see, oh, at this point, you don't know what it is because of all that foreground. Foreground is important. We're going to talk about that. If you're on a wide framing, wide shot, if you are in a room that is like this, and I'm going to move into something on that wall, or just a little creeping something that tells a story, if I've got nothing that gives me relationship to that wall, foreground is a great thing. Because when you move, the foreground moves, okay? A tilt. Starting on something, revealing something. It could show the scale of this obelisk or whatever that these people are standing in front of. It's to reveal information. It's to see something on the phone. The phone call. What am I going to do about it? It's a storytelling moment of something. A roll. You don't see this very often. It's a little, I think the word I used, unsettling. I don't remember the last time I used a roll on something. But it is a tactic that people use to make you go, whoa, something's wrong with something's going on here. Okay? Anytime the camera moves, it is moving to tell you something. A zoom. It could be a regular zoom, which is what this is. This started in tight on Hoffman's face, and it pulls back to reveal him in this cockpit of this plane on this trip. A crash zoom is, I'm trying to think, what's a good example of a crash zoom? I should have been prepared for that. Just something where I'm whipping in on something, boom, popping in on something. It's an example of something. That's like a dolly zoom, though. Yeah. But yes, zooms. By the way, our goal is to talky, question-y, and then get some people into this, okay? So if I start talking fast, it's because I want somebody to have some time. So what's our out time? We started at 15 after? 11:15, yeah. Are we 11:15? Are we? Okay. Push in. Oh, I changed my slide. This is the pull out. Okay. David Lawrence. You messed up your slide presentation. My wife's going to go, how'd the slide presentation go? Good till the push in. Okay, so these are pull-outs. So if you're pulling out of something, you are starting on something and revealing the world that's something that's going on. They close movies with them. They're ending credits. This is revealing this information that something is going on behind these people. This is a movie I haven't seen. Jamie Lee Curtis, they're pulling back. Something happened behind them, and you want to know, something's going on. What am I supposed to be? Because the cut shot after this is probably going to be something pretty important, okay? So you're telling the audience in advance something that's going on. All right, let's talk about a tracking shot. Somebody says a tracking shot. People think of a tracking shot as, well, whatever you want to think of it as. It can be one of two things. It can be following somebody, or it can be leading somebody. So if somebody says tracking, you want to know which direction you're going. You are either revealing something, moving with someone. This is a woodlawn thing. This is pulling back of him. It's the big game, and he's walking out to give his players the big speech at the end, okay? Let's talk about this shot really quickly. And I will try to be brief. If you know me, that can be difficult, okay? If I'm pulling back to reveal this, as we watch this frame, hey, not that one. Come on, Swenson. Okay? As we are pulling back to reveal this, you're saying to yourself, well, how did the camera get in there between those people? If those people are like shoulder to shoulder, how'd the camera move in there? Well, if that distance of that lens is 4 feet, so if we're playing players that are right here, a shoulder pad guy and a shoulder pad guy, as I am pulling back through that group is not standing there shoulder pad to shoulder pad. But the audience doesn't know that. They're like, how'd they do that? Well, that's just us using space and communicating with our actors. The camera goes back, and as soon as I get past a certain point, I go to every football player on that line, and I say, hi, Bob, okay, when the lens gets to right here, bring it on in, brother. Tell that story. So these guys are literally standing like this. The camera goes down the line, and as soon as the camera gets past them, they bring their shoulders in, and they bring those shoulder pads together, and it makes it look like the camera was floating over these people's shoulder pads. Okay? Communication with your talent, little things like that. There are 100 things in this job that make you a better operator, and a big ton of that is communicating with people. Oh, why am I pointing there? The communicator's here. Okay, trucking. The difference between tracking and trucking. Trucking, if somebody says, the long time somebody would say trucking, you mean tracking? No, I mean trucking. Okay. Trucking is laterally moving, okay? Tracking is this, fore and aft. Trucking is moving laterally for something. This is one of my favorite shots from Overcomer that I didn't do, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's the best shot of the movie. We had a gimbal guy on a ATV situation, and when I came back to dailies and I saw this, I was like, I'm never gonna get hired again. That was awesome. Please bring me back next time, but that's really good. I cannot remember his name. Colin Noel or something. But this shot, trucking, starts at the top of the hill. I cut into it because, as you can see from the graininess, I couldn't, all these files on this thing. Okay, you start out and then you end up in almost like a 3/4 of her. But you look at this on a 4-story tall, 60-foot screen, and it's like, man, that's awesome. Boy, I just had it sound a little southern there, didn't I? Man. Okay, a combination of trucking and tracking. Steadicam, gimbal, whatever you want to say, whatever the platform is, something that's mobile that's not a dolly. Steadicam, gimbal, Mobi. When I say gimbal, good. Thank you. Gimbal and Mobi, if I say them, I'm saying them together, okay? It is that style of, it's that platform. We'll call it a platform. We're gonna say platforms a lot. Trucking and tracking, a lot of Movi, gimbal, you will start doing this and then you end up doing this or like this. And you are constantly, a 360 is another thing. It's called an arc. You're arcing around something. I was told to stay in a box. So, sorry. Okay, trucking and tracking. If you move into something, this is a good example. The opening of War Room is a good example of a trucking and a tracking shot combined. It is, hey, that's the wrong one. Coming into this room, oh, I wish I could suck. I wish I could expand this. Okay. That little beat that you just saw right there, don't look. I'm gonna make this. Yes. I was like, no, the answer is yes. The reason I said that like that is sometimes you want to go, oh, well, I'll tell you why. What I'm about to show you, oh, hold on. Me? Okay. The Bob Scott folks come in and they say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're going to walk into the room. The information's on the table. We're going to do a dolly. We're going to move around the table and end up on the guy. It's the opening scene from the movie where Miss Claire is telling the story of who her husband was in the military and what his job was. Blah, blah, blah. He did this until he had a heart attack and blah, 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 blah. It's like I played it over in my head like 70 times when we were doing this thing. I had her do the voiceover before so I could hear her cadence and her blah, 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 so I could listen to it. And I'm going to slow down. Okay, but it was cool. Okay, so we get to this moment. Well, we get in here. Well, I go in. You start on the, oh, David, technologically not savvy. Let's start from the top, shall we? Okay. We start from the top. We're going in, locked in on this square, literally Stanley Kubrick-esque, stacked on this table, okay? Well, I got to find a way to get around the table. Well, okay, what did I say when we first started? I said, I'm a motivated camera guy. I don't want to do something if there's not something that's getting us there, okay? In this, my next thing is I've got to start moving around this table. Well, there's nothing to get me there. Nothing motivates me to start doing that. So I was like, what can we do to... So there's a person that was sitting over in this corner of this room, and I said, if we can get somebody to move from here to here to get the eye of the viewer to start going, oh, takes you to there, that gets us there, to gets us moving. It's motivating what we're doing. Everybody follow me? I know I'm not communicating very well, okay? So, did you operate this? 8 years later, I go, I should have been better about blah, but we're constantly learning every day. I fail and I succeed every single day. If I don't look and say, how can I get better? I've got problems. I need to be driving home at the end of every shoot saying, what did I do well today? Where did I fail today? What can I do better tomorrow? And how can I be a better person tomorrow? Okay? So if this is happening here, we go into this room. This guy over in the corner. Did you see me do this unmotivatedly? Is that a word? Okay. I reached over to find this guy because he's my guy. I should have held off just long enough. We gave him a verbal cue. I walked in the room and I said, go, because there's no audio on this. It's a voiceover. I gave it away. I sold it before I told the audience what I was doing before I did it. And I didn't want to do it. It makes me mad. It makes me wish I could go back and do it again. Talking about learning from your mistakes. Okay, so this guy motivates us around the thing. The guy who walked into the room, who took us into the room to begin with, I should have gone with him as he went to pick up the guy to get me to where I was going. Does that make sense? The guy who walks in at the beginning of the shot. Okay, enough. You get what I'm talking about.
I found this on the web.
You did? Great. Really? Okay. A boom. A boom is traditionally talked about. A boom is meow. Meow. Oh, it's loading. Boy, you try to put a bunch of moving slides on a presentation and you're not a presentation guy? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, a boom. Anything that rises up over something, something that goes up, something that comes down, that gets you into show scope, to show scale. It's really cool. This is telling you everything about what's going on at this military, all this at this military place. This is a cool rise. Well, if you hear somebody say a rise, it's a rise over something. This is a sliding down this cool post to show where this guy is going down into this cool environment. This is showing all this, cue the extras, cue the whatever, it's a bunch going on. But when you play those wide lenses on those booms, it really tells a story of where you are. Handheld. I'm not a huge handheld, okay, personal preference. I should put the asterisk, personal preference, okay? I'm not a big handheld guy. Who heard me yesterday talking about the cops thing? I'm not a cops guy. I don't want to be that guy. I'm not into this. It doesn't do anything for me. It's personal preference. But this documentary style, we see it in The Office. We see it in whatever movie this was. Big Short, yeah. You see this kind of frenetic kind of, what's the story? What? It's a method of telling this story. We talked about an arc before. Okay, this is where you're going to laugh because I might get into it. I found this on the web. Okay, an arc. You're moving around something to tell the story of, you're connecting these people together to tell the story of what's going on. What those people are about to join together to go do. An arc. Let's see if there's something. Let me show you one more handheld thing. That is okay, you have handheld, and you have handheld that just tells the story. Okay? This whole scene is on the shoulder. It's all handheld. It's not going crazy. It's giving just a little, you see the edges moving just a little bit. It's giving the story life. It gets you in there like, am I over this woman's shoulder? Am I in this conversation? It shows it's different than a lock-off. I told the story yesterday about the guy on Homeland who said, don't make me come in there and do it myself. He was this guy. He wanted that. We do handheld stuff like this all the time. We're doing a dirty over of the something. Just give me an apple box and a whatever and a Fernie pad and let's do it. Fernie pad is I call it, yeah, it's a sound. Fold it into a burrito. But if you'd like a burrito, maybe. But yes. So hold on. Let's see. Maybe not. I'm glad you didn't find that on the web. Come on, David. We got to get some people in that rig. Okay, we showed the arcing thing. General framing things. There are general rules that apply. If it's an interview style, okay, you and I are doing apply. You're the camera. An interview style is looking off to the side. It's an interview style thing where you are looking at the you are looking at the cameras like, oh, when I was 12, I blah, 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 okay? Somebody says, I direct, Matthew's the camera, everything is looking right into the lens. It's them talking to the viewer at home. I direct. A couple years ago, you used to see this I direct thing where you would put this double mirrored gag on the camera where somebody could be sitting next to the camera, looking into the mirror, into the other mirror, playing through as if it's a teleprompter, blah, blah, nah. Just work with your talent and say, hey, by the way, look into the lens because this is an eye direct thing. Okay. Okay. Those are some static framings that we talk about. Let's talk about a couple that are a little bit different. When the camera starts to move, some of our rules, if you will, get broken. They get swept away a little bit. Some of those rules are when we do things like, hold on, okay. Okay. You see where the main action of the frame is over here? This is Caleb running this end route. And the point of what we're seeing is the fact that he is eluding his tacklers and going for the big touchdown. Well, you look at this on the big screen, and you're not even thinking about the fact that he's over in the frame because you're looking about what is the storyline going on here. Oh my gosh, these people. Now, granted, we were hoping that we were going to have more people over here to show the ensuing activity, you know, but it is what it is. This happened to be on this take. This happened to be what it was. But the point is at the beginning, we want to let our actors, when we're moving the camera, don't feel like you got it from a moving camera perspective. Don't feel like you got to center punch everything. You don't have to do it. Put it on the third. Let that person bang the edge of that frame till they force you to move that camera, to move and then tell that story. Because when they're moving and forcing you to bang the edge of that frame, it's letting you tell other story, not just the story of the person that you're talking about, other things that are going on with them. Let the frame move and let them force you to move instead of going center punch, everything is center punch. I am a robot, center punch, okay? We don't want to do that. We want to let the story evolve and we want to tell the story. So he's moving down the side. Then things start to come together and I say, oh, well, he's the hero. Let's center punch him. Let's bring him back into the center. But let's let him move over to the side so we can see what's going on over here. It's letting the story evolve in your frame and following what's going on, okay? Another one, telling that same kind of deal about letting this right here, I'm going to tell you what's going on before I just show it, okay? This guy, this actor right here, is from a movie called The Shunning. This actor, he's having this in-depth conversation with his wife. And he has a conversation, and then I'm going to leave. No, I'm going to tell you this. And then no, I'm going to leave. No, I'm going to tell you that. He was doing this. And as the camera operator, you're like, he's going to go at some point. I know he's going to go at some point. When are you going to go? When are you going to go? Ah! And I would give it away a host of times. So the time that you say, I am not going to move until this guy forces me to go. He is right up against the edge of that frame before I say, I am not moving until his shoulder hits the edge of that frame. I'm not going to get fooled again. So don't let yourself not get involved enough in the project to go, I'm not going to be fooled. I'm not going to give it away to the audience. I'm telling a story, and I want the people who are viewing this to be just as shocked about it as I am. All right, a lot of okay. Keep pounding up there like that's going to do something. Okay, we just talked about that. Once the camera starts to move. How'd your presentation go, honey? Kinda okay. Okay, how fast is the action? How fast, how slow? Does it, when you're doing fast, does it amp up the tension of the scene? Or is it telling something? If it's slow, is it ominous? Or is it creepy? Do you not want somebody to, like Friday the 13th style, like, what's gonna happen next? Boy, I just really dated myself, didn't I? Okay. Stability. Is it Steadicam smooth? Is it handheld frenetic? Is it crazy? Is it body cam? Do people know what body cam is? When I say that? It's the harness that an actor wears or actress wears with the thing that's triangulated to the camera, and it's like, that. It's kind of crazy. Timing. Is it building anticipation? Are you moving the camera just to tell storyline points? Just to get from A to B. If you're behind in your day, and we have 2 hours to go, and we've got a whole scene to shoot, sometimes you just might be doing a oneer because you don't have time to get into coverage. Who's been in that situation? Okay, you know exactly. You picking up what I'm putting down. Okay. Key elements. Okay, there are things that can accentuate and help us when we're moving the camera. Blocking is huge help. If you don't know the blocking, if we can't work through the blocking, I am aimlessly wondering where people are going to go, okay? Blocking is key. We need to work with our actors, foreground, background, all kinds of cool stuff. Their movements, somebody being in the frame, it may be the key actor, the lead actor, but somebody behind them, because something they're about to say is about to take you to something to the other. Let somebody go to that person on the third row over there and go, hey, when he says this line, I need you to take your drink and move over in the party over to the whatever, because that's going to take us super important. Twice. Okay? Having people move opposite direction. If people are moving opposite direction in the frame, if I'm moving forward, that's one thing. I'm tracking in on someone or with someone, okay? As I'm tracking, not going to do it a third time, as I'm tracking in on somebody, if I have somebody that's coming to me in the foreground, coming at me, the opposite direction of me, it takes the speed, the busyness of the moment and ramps it through the roof. Try it the next time you're doing something. It's one thing to just be standing there and somebody's walking at you. But if you are converging on one another, it's like, whoa, busyness in the frame. If somebody wipes the frame, busyness in the frame, boom, boom, boom. It really gets things flowing. Locations, key, big, click it. By the way, it's not there. Anything that you can do to tell the story better with the locations. We talked about it yesterday. We spend a lot of time finding cool places to shoot movies, to shoot stuff like that. We spend a lot of time with that. Don't get there and not take advantage of something. I'm about to work with this young lady on the third row over here, and I'm about to work in an environment in Lancaster, Pennsylvania on a stage that is outrageously cool. I can't wait to get there because the location is going to be fabulous. I haven't even seen it yet. But I'm so excited because the location does so much for what we do. The more unique, the better. It just provides opportunities for us. We moving this, we just want opportunities to show it off and do things that tells the story better to the audience. Production design. Props, vehicles, architecture, animals, sets, anything that somebody has created and crafted to tell the story better helps us do something. Because if I am walking into oh, this is bad. I'll stand over here. Yeah, you don't need to pants. So sorry. I'll stay in my box. We're looking. I can't. If I shoot that wall, that's really interesting, isn't it? Blank wall. If I walked over there and I walked into, we work at a lot of NASCAR stuff in Charlotte, okay? If I walk into a room and I got to tell the story of being in an old garage with blah, 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 and there's a car up here and their old tool kit with tools all over them and engine parts all over them, it's telling the story. Those are all props and things that the production design made tell that story rather than saying, by the way, this is a dude in a garage, blank wall. Sets. Sets are cool. Flyaway sets are even cooler. Anybody worked on a flyaway set that's got flyaway walls or something like that? Shooting what did I say? Oh, the interrogation set. We were doing an interrogation thing, and the day before we went in to scout this location. 2 FBI agents looking through the interrogation glass window to an interrogation happening on the other side of the thing. We are sitting in this thing, in this other side of the room, playing this conversation. They're all over this room, shuffling through paperwork. And did you see when he did that? And all the while, we're seeing the interrogation going on in the glass on the other side of the room. As soon as this dialogue ends, we cut right to the other side of the room. Somebody on the set said, wouldn't it be cool if we could just do it in a oneer? And we're like, well, that would be cool. But I can't go through that wall. The grips, the set design, they overnight took a portion of the wall on the left-hand side of the frame and literally took down the wall, put it on a hinge right up to the seam of the glass. So we did this entire scene of interrogation. What are they doing? Oh, he's laying into him right now. He's going to get the answer. He's going to get him to commit to it, whatever. We do this, and then he says, well, what do you think? I think he's going to give it. I think he's going to give it up now. And they turn, and you go over their shoulder, and you look into the glass, and all of a sudden, you look into the glass, and all of a sudden, you go through the glass into the interrogation set, into where we were talking. I was like, whoa. Okay. Set design, huge, really cool. If you can get, okay, if you can do fun, cool stuff, okay. Who's seen Overcomer? Okay, you know the opening scene, the drone scene? Okay, okay. Have you seen the behind the scenes? Have you seen the behind the scenes thing on that? Yeah. How many people have seen the behind the scenes? I won't show it if you've all seen it. We're in the, okay. Okay, we talked about all these things, production design, blocking, this, that, all these things that make up a scene. You want to see a scene that incorporates every single bit of that? Is that shot right there. And we'll do a really quick, I found this on the web. Let's see if I'm technologically savvy enough to make this happen. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people coming together to do something. And if you don't have the production design, if you don't have the blocking, if you don't have the locations, if you don't have the people, everybody working together for the common goal to make that happen, None of it works. It's all for naught. So it's a lot of factors that make the moving camera happen and how we tell that story. That is a grandiose example of that, but we can do it. Okay. I'm going to buzz through these platforms, okay? Hey, Dave. Okay. Hey, if I stall long enough, it'll come up. Okay, let's talk about the platforms. We're going to motor through them, okay? A jib. It takes a couple people, the operator and maybe an assist to help move the jib around, okay? Epic, wide, sweeping motion shots. You can do things from 8 feet to all the way up to 50. These big, wide scope, rising reveals, wider, tighter lenses are great. Because the platform is so stable, you can punch in on something and do this really cool tracking shot or a trucking shot of something, and it's rock solid because of the mechanics of how the system works. It's great. Often in the broadcast world, they will use it as a kind of a master shot of something, a shoulder-to-shoulder master shot, or a wide shot of something that gives them something to cut to all the time. You'll see this all the time. You watch any interview show where you see a jib, and they always have the cutback shot. That's a jib or something in a studio like that. Somebody says, well, hey man, why not just use a drone, man? It's 2022. Okay? That's really great. But if you're shooting sound, it might not be great. Generally, if you're shooting with animals, it might not be that great. By the way, we're going to get a dog crashed, okay? We don't want that, okay? Sometimes a jib can be repeatable where a drone may not be as repeatable. It is going to okay, who's a drone person? Because I'm not cool. Okay, if you're not finding the location, can you tell the drone to go to a location and hit that GPS location? Within reason? Within reason. Okay, good. Not always. Cool. So you know what I'm talking about when I say repeatable, okay? No battery limitations. You can throw that jib guy up there and he'll do whatever you want. And by the way, he doesn't have to be back in 30 minutes because that drone's going to die, the battery's going to die, and we got to start from scratch, okay? What was the last part? Weight restrictions. I can't just throw whatever camera on a drone. Most drones have their own proprietary cameras that are on those drones until you get to something that is, you're throwing an Alexa Mini, or you're throwing a Red, or you're throwing something on there. Drones, okay? 1 to 4 people. You may have a pilot, you may have a camera operator, you may have an AC pulling focus, you may have a spotter, you may have a host of people depending on the scale or the scope of what you're doing. Height restrictions. You can do whatever you want. It's awesome. I'm sure that fine gentleman in the blue over there would love to talk to you about all the cool things that drones can do. But height restrictions, a jib can get you whatever to whatever. Well, my max is about 45 feet with the blah, 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 with the whatever, okay? You can do whatever you want drone-wise, within reason, okay? Everything's got boundaries. Lightweight cameras and lenses on drones. Amazing visual content. What we used to have to do to put a helicopter up in the sky with a camera on it, and now we can do it with drones. It's more safe, it's more cost-effective, the whole 9 yards. The shots are spectacular. There are a couple different kinds. If you would have asked me, I don't think I really worked with an FPV person until about a year ago. I knew of them, didn't know much about them. There are 2 different two types of different drones. You have the traditional, is literally a regular camera and a gimbal and a bunch of sensors and flying safety features and things, which is great. You can pull it out of the box from DJI and pull it out of the box and play it. It's stabilized. You can literally play the footage right off the card when you pull it out of the camera, or you can record in on your phone or your tablet or whatever. No fly zones, you got to think about that stuff. You're shooting near an airport, you're shooting near a military base, you need to get somebody who knows what can and cannot happen, okay? Batteries, 30 minutes max, 30 minutes, 30 minutes? 40? Awesome. I'll change the graphic. Okay, FPV stuff. Goggles, no frills, Everything is manual, lots of practice. It takes a lot of practice to be one of those guys. And when you see an FPV, you usually know them because they got the goggles on. They're the ones over there with the goggles with the 19 antennas coming at them. They look like a bug. It's really cool. But you look at what they're doing and you're like, that's awesome. That is super cool. There are a lot of build your own situations. It takes a lot of work to build these things. A lot of, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of guys who are drone guys, anybody other drone, I keep looking at you. What's your name? David. Hey, David. That's hard to remember for me. Any other drone people in here? Anybody else? Bueller, okay. It takes the people that are FPV people are usually tweakers. People that are like builders, people that want to tweak and like, I want to buy something and then I want to change 83 things about it because I'm going to make it my own. Okay, those kind of guys. Awesome guys, super talented guys. Unlike this, I could not be an FPV guy. It's software. Those things are not stabilized. If you're doing something and somebody says, well, let's get a drone on that, and you're sitting in that meeting, know that the difference between, well, let's do an FPV. And somebody goes, whoa. FPV stuff, it comes off the card, off the recording, and it has to go through a thing to stabilize that footage, okay? So if you're doing something that needs to be a quick turnaround or whatever, you do not want to use an FPV. You want to use something that is a regular standard drone. So you can literally pull that card and go put it into an editing system. But you need to stabilize that stuff. There's no GPS on an FPV from what I understand. So you can fly wherever you want to fly. It's not a no-fly zone kind of thing. I'm not going to get into whoever's recording this. Don't look up here at me when I say that, okay? 10 minutes, roughly. 10 to 12 minutes. If it was 2 more for you, I'm going to add 2 more to this, okay? 10 to 12 minutes before you need to, okay. Dollies and sliders. Precise, reliable dollies and sliders. Great. You can boom up and down. As you see, I'm on a riser here that's, if the top of the thing is here, you can add risers to get elevation up on something. It's a great mobile platform if you want to move quickly. You're in coverage in a room that's got space. We're shooting coverage in this room in here, on this floor. Are you kidding? Who's bringing sticks in here? Let's get the dolly off the truck and put it on there and let's boom, 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 boom. We'll blow through this coverage, okay? You can use it as to make it a fast, repeatable, good mobile platform. Excellent for slow, creepy push-ins on people because it's so, okay. I almost counted words. Mass equals stability. Mass equals stability. You ever wonder why you took your VHS cam? I'm really going to date myself. Did you ever take your little handy palm cam? Okay. Why is it not stable? Because it weighs nothing. Why is this thing so stable? Because it weighs 300 pounds. Okay? Mass equals stability. Why is this more stable than an iPhone? Fore and aft, track. You can get off a track. If you're on if you're in a room that's got the floors are not even, we call it dance floor. You're going to bring in plywood and these cool surfaces that we can lay stuff over. This, just baby fanny smooth. I just said baby fanny. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, smooth. It's super smooth. Okay. Okay. Cons. Track. If you're doing something and you're, oh my gosh. Limitations are track and repeatability, okay? Gimbals, oh my gosh, we gotta fly through this. Okay, depending on the model, you can do a bunch of stuff. You can do a bunch of different camera stuff. No restrictions of track. It's like a Steadicam. Steadicam and gimbal are almost synonymous these days, okay? There are some differences. We're gonna hit on them, okay? It's no restrictions. It's traditionally a shorter learning curve because you program the thing, you balance it, and there are motors that are working for you to give you what you're giving. The learning curve is shorter. There is a learning curve, but it's shorter, okay? You can hand it off to somebody in the middle of a shot. You see these people where you put these gimbals and movies and stuff on these big cranes, and they come down, they do a step off of these cranes into these. You see crazy cool gimbal stuff that 10 years ago, no way, dude, you never would have seen cool stuff like that. You can put them on vehicles, jibs, hard mounts. You can use them as a remote head. They are fabulous. It's a smaller platform. You can get into places that you can't get into with this behemoth over here. Okay, gimbals, great in pan, tilt, and roll. Where you see the difference in a gimbal operator that doesn't have the experience level is when they are moving forward and they are walking. If you see a cool shot, but it's doing this when it's walking, it's because the person is being static with their arm, because it's taking a lot of this out of it and giving you a lock-solid platform, but you're seeing this because you're seeing their steps, because that axis is not covered in a 3-axis gimbal. It's the difference in running around with this thing, this arm that's attached to this rig. Vertical steps, okay. Okay, gimbal stuff. If I am, okay, we're gonna get to Steadicam stuff, and I'm gonna tell you something that the reason that I am a Steadicam guy, not a gimbal guy, okay? I do both, but this is what I've invested a lot in, okay? So I'm sticking here. If I'm moving with a gimbal, and I'm moving from here to here, if I have to pan, I have to think of where I'm going and start my pan, because once I start the pan, there's going to be an electronic lag from me doing this to it catching up and doing what I'm going to do. If I get to my stopping point, I have to stop on Matthew here, because by the time it goes there, it's going to catch up and end where there's a learning curve. You have to factor these things into gimbal stuff. Hold on, I'm going to go back to, okay. Who knows Sam Wiley? Love that guy. Oh my gosh. You want to talk about him for an hour?
Yes.
Oh, jeez. Amazing guy. I got a chance to work with him about 1.5 years ago. Can't say enough about that guy. Unbelievable. Super talented, super nice. He's the total package. Okay, relying on motors, the body, tricky to repeat precision, because it is the operator's body that gets there. Repeatability is a little bit of a factor. Can be a factor on this over here too. You don't have a ready rig, you don't have a body mounted thing, that gonna get heavy quick. Okay, fatigue sets in. If you're not gonna see a Sam running around without his harness. You're not gonna see it, because that thing gets heavy. None of us want to be dealing with that. Load capabilities, yes. Everything's got to fit inside that package. Everything's got to fit inside that space. The camera has to offset back enough for the lens, for the matte boxes, with the batteries, whatever you do, to fit in that space. Something to take into consideration. That is a difference between a gimbal situation and a Steadicam situation. This is literally a platform that you put whatever you want to put up there. And as long as it's within reason, we'll balance it and, hey, let's go flying. Setup and calibration time. There's setup time here too. Any changes, you add a lens, you add a matte box, you add a battery to a wireless unit. Beepity boop, something little. Rebounds, because we're going to see it. As the operator, you're like, what's up? What's up with this? Okay. We talked about the lag. I love Steadicam because when my brain thinks it, my hand knows it, my hand is connected to something that is connected to this. When I know it, when I see it, when I make a choice, it happens. There's no, I got to play that wiggle factor in there. Something that's always been something for me that I love about this device that's behind me. There's nothing in the middle to get in the way. You can be violent with this. You can be slow and creepy with it. You can do both. It's a great, somebody said one time, what do you like about doing Steadicam? It is, for me, it is the optimum job on set where you can take the physical activity, the physical exertion, and take that and put it into the finesse of moving something through space. It is a great combination of that. My wife says, my wife jokes with me when I get home, she says, how was your day? Well, she knows how my day was by the number of sweaty shirts I bring home. Because what do you do? As somebody says, what do you do for a living? I sweat for people for a living. Yeah, it's physical. It can be physical. I ain't gonna lie. It's very technique oriented. If you are interested in doing this, go to a workshop. It is something that you will never regret. Who's been to a Steadicam workshop? 1, 2, anybody else? You learn so much that you could never learn out of a book or things that will really help you. You can fly pretty much whatever camera. As long as it fits up on that platform up there, boom, let's do it. Different physical payloads, we talked about it. And once I looked at my watch and I know okay, what is a Steadicam? It's a big vertical stick with a weight on the bottom of it that gives you you can make a Steadicam at home by taking a stick, by putting some form of a platform on top and putting a weight at the bottom. That's all it is. You can go to Home Depot and make a Steadicam tomorrow, okay? Yeah, you get what I'm saying, okay? 2 different modes, high mode and low mode. The difference between a gimbal. Gimbals are great. Sam, we'll just say Sam because as an example, he can start here and end here. If I'm going to do that, I need to go spend $40,000 on a thing called a Trinity. I don't have $40,000 just falling out of my pocket, so and I get 5 calls a year for that. If it becomes 10, I might have to think about it. Okay, it is pricey. I don't have that, anyway. If I want to go high and low mode gets me from roughly here to here. High mode, flip it upside down, gets me from here to somewhere up in here. I can play both. I just have to make a choice until I go invest 40 grand in a Trinity, okay? Oh, golly Moses. All right, it's windy, not good in wind. Let's just blow through this. It's like a big sail. Food for thought, okay. You're gonna fail. Things are gonna break. That's a broadcast video setup for a swimming and diving thing that I did. There is so much poop going on up in here, something's gonna break. You have to be aware that it's gonna happen and don't freak out when it happens. You are going to fail. Things are going to fail. Have backups. Have a backup Zoom. Just keep calm, assess the situation, and when you are assessing the situation, say, I'm gonna get through this. It's all gonna be good. I just need to be able to tell the story that we want to tell. How can I do this to the best of my ability? Always have a backup plan. Have a plan, a backup plan, and a contingency like we talked about yesterday. If you're going to mess up with style because you thought it out, okay? Know your platform. Don't go buy a Steadicam. Don't go buy a gimbal and show up on a set the next day and expect for you to be a rock star. In fact, I'd love for you to take a video of that and show that and send that to me because I'd like to see how that all works out for you. Okay, don't do it. Don't put yourself in that situation. You're gonna fail. You don't wanna fail, okay? We wanna blend into the story. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about you. We wanna tell the story. Sometimes, okay, the Overcomer opening thing, it was cool. But it's not about us. It's about telling the story of over a school, in through a window, showing a basketball game, going in on a very important moment to set the scene for the story. 5. Okay, whether it's okay, second camera. You're going to be in a situation budgetarily. Somebody's going to say, we have this going on, and we're going to have to change from Steadicam to handheld, and we're going to have to go from Steadicam to a jib, and then we're going to have to do. And I'm like, do we have time for all that? Oh yeah. Learn to know when to fight for a second camera. If you are in a situation where somebody is saying, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, half of my job is asking questions to people and say, what do we need? Are we moving from this to this? Are we going from steady to sticks? If we go from steady to sticks, what is your conversion time? What is from one to the other, what does it take? We do all these plates and different plate situations where we can go literally unplug, 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 click, click, plug, 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 we're ready. But if you don't ask the questions in advance to get there, It could take you 20 minutes to repo of something and everybody's doing this, looking at you, wondering why time is money, burning it up. Okay, every day when you show up on set, if you have an opportunity to do something that's even 1/10 cool, and you don't get a little butterfly in your stomach, or you don't get a little something that this could be really fun, this is cool, you need to go get another job. I need to go work at a Home Depot in the plumbing department, whatever. I need to show up every day, and if something is even 1/10 of cool, I want to go, oh, I can't wait to do that. That's the attitude I want to bring every single day to a shot. I swear we're getting to the end. We talked about it yesterday. Who was here yesterday? Every day is a great opportunity for you to learn to work, to show what you have, to show the person you are, to show your technical expertise, to deserve to come back tomorrow. Nothing is given. The day I walk off a set and think that I'm coming back tomorrow is the day I need to kick myself in the shins as I'm walking to the car. I got to work every day to deserve to come back the next day. Okay. Well, we talked about humbling yesterday. We don't have to go into that. I think we've hit on that enough. Humble yourself. It's not about us. We're here to serve a story. We are here to serve the people that are hiring us, not to come in for me to say, well, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, not. Okay? I'm going to go to a Matthew. I'm going to go to anybody who's hiring me. I'm going to go to them and say, what can I do to serve you today? How can I tell the story that you want me to tell to do my job for you best? Any advice that's different from yesterday? Find a mentor. We talked about it. Keep growing. Learn. Humility. We just talked about it. There's one more in there. Be a godly example. There are people, you know that every day, whether you know it or not, people are watching you all the time. Everything you do. You may be alone in a room. Well, you know who's watching you then. Okay? Anywhere you are, somebody is watching what you're doing. The minute you think about that is the minute you're going to really think about what you're doing and who you are showing the world that you are. Something to keep in the back of your mind. Kindness, integrity, decisiveness. Demonstrate that stuff daily and who you are and what you bring to the table and the people you're working with. Contact information. If you weren't here yesterday, I'm 4 minutes over. I'm so sorry. And we didn't get anybody in. Tell me what our situation is. We can get somebody in real quick if you want.
Well, they have to be at the Fellowship Center for lunch in exactly 9 minutes.
Okay, well, let's not do that. What can I do for y'all? Are there any questions that I can answer? Is there anything that we can discuss quickly in about 8.5 minutes? Yes, ma'am. First question.
You said the word NASCAR?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me more. What do you do with that?
I'm a camera guy. We do a lot of, the show that I've been working on for 12 years is a show called Race Hub. It's called Race Hub. It's a FS1 show. We are the feature guys. We jokingly call ourselves the earlier this week guys. The show comes on. Hi, everybody. Welcome to blah, 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 blah. Earlier this week, we caught up with Joey Logano to talk about whatever.
Yep.
We're the feature guys and the B-roll guys, the slow-mo guys, the storytelling guys, the non-studio guys.
Do you go to the tracks?
Yes, ma'am. We used to, when I first got into the business about 25 years ago, I was at some of those tracks 30 weeks a year.
Okay.
Now it's about 9. I love my family. It is more important to me to spend time with them, but still get out there and do what they ask me to do. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Back row. What's your name?
Brady,
Hey, Grady.
I was just curious, what was the hardest shot
Aw.
or the longest that it took you to learn how to get a shot?
I'll tell you one of the hardest things I ever did. Who's a country music person? Okay, there's a guy named George Strait. He Ah! There's a guy named George Strait. He,
Texas girl, so
yo, I'm so yeah. Okay, well, George Strait did that concert at Texas Stadium a couple years ago where he had like every other country music star that joined him on stage, and the concert was like 6 hours long. That was the longest day of my life. Okay? There are times that you are in the rig a long time. Literally, I would be running around downstage, on stage, whatever, and I would be in between moments, and I would literally go and put the rig down on a table, waiting for a moment waiting for on headsets to go, all right, 22, you're back up, and then go back, okay? Long days. There can be some very physically exerting things. That was one thing. What was the second part of your question? Having to prepare. That drone shot wasn't a Steadicam thing, but a moving camera thing. There's so many elements that went into that. We were talking about that shot. I remember Bob Scott calling me on the phone 4 months prior to that. Hey man, word on the street is we might be doing this. 4 months. It's a lot of prep time. That was not a, hey, let's just do this tomorrow. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so
What's your name?
Josh.
Hey, Josh.
So I was wondering, like, improvising shots on set. Is there ever like that happen a lot, or is that not as much?
It
You
de-
go up on set, you're like, this would be cool. Let's change this. How often would you say that?
improvision of you're going to show up with one of two bosses. I'm going to show up on a set where I come in and they're bringing me in because they're bringing me in because of this, okay? They're going to show me the shot, they're going to show me the blocking, and we're going to figure it out. We're going to improvise until we find what the key points are, and then we're going to nail it, okay? The other time is you come into another thing, I'm just a cog in the wheel. I'm whatever in the whatever, okay? They are bringing me in, and I literally have somebody walk up to beside me and say, this is your frame, this is your frame, this is your position, this is your frame, and this is what you're going to do. Anything outside those boundaries, you will be hearing from me. Woo! Talking about putting your foot down. There are, most of the time, it's a combination of the two. You come in because they're saying, hey, we're going to do this. What do you think about that? The collaboration is one of the things that I love so much about this business. So it depends on who you're working for. Sometimes you have the people that are saying, this is what I have literally had people take screen grabs on their phone and say, this is the framing that I want to see. When you come from here to here, this is the framing that I want to see. I don't want to see 6 inches to the side of that. I don't want to see 2 inches to the side of that. By the way, there's a light there that we need you to avoid. There's a filing cabinet that you're probably going to run into right here. You don't want, Some people are very precise. Yes.
Hi, I'm Zach.
Hey, Zach. I didn't have to ask. Thank you.
You mentioned the Airy Trinity. What are your thoughts on putting a gimbal on top of the Steadicam?
Oh, absolutely. Innovation. This Volt right here, I blew past the thing because we were running late, okay? Innovation is awesome. You can take, at some point, the Trinity. If you don't want to spend 40 grand on the base of a Trinity, there are people that take a gimbal, a Movi, put the toad in the hole, whatever the attachment, whatever they call that attachment, okay? And then you literally put that on the side, and then it becomes a communication thing. Because then, as the operator, I am moving the camera through space. There is somebody that's over there framing, playing. It is much. Communication in that situation is key. But yes, if this was my Steadicam presentation, I would show you like 4 pictures of just that, okay? Great question. Innovation is awesome. Anybody, real quick before we go? Anyone? Bueller? Call me, text me, email me, whatever I can be doing to be helpful, just let me know.
Y'all give Dave a hand. Thank you.
Thank you.